record. Lovely. Thank you for reminding me. School footpaths. We'll have a discussion on that shortly. URC planning. Mark will be talking about that in the road safety. Have we spoken to the resident about the convex mirror, Joanne?
He's already tweaked it for us.
No,
Yes.
this is the one opposite the by the URC.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, they've been forwarded to highways.
Okay. St John's Churchyard Nettles.
We met the resident today, actually, Joanne and I. Should I talk about it now? Is it on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda.
We had a look round. At the moment, the long areas have been cut last month. And it is true that area to the right, as you go in the main big gate, is getting bigger and bigger, and it is only really nettles now. So he proposed that the nettles be dug out and some other seeds be planted. But we have come to not an agreement, but we were thinking that we would mow that area completely. So to keep it short, which would get rid of the nettles. If you keep mowing nettles, they will go eventually. It takes a couple of years. And then just move a longer area out from underneath the tree. So have a no-mow area slightly to the left of where it is currently. And I think it won't make any difference to the contract, because the contract simply says keep the long areas long, except they get cut in spring and autumn once, and keep the short areas short. Oh. So it's not going to make any difference to the contract. That amount of nettles, they do get very very congested, and it's looking untidy. And also the contract does state that we're meant to have a meter between the church wall and the long areas, which we haven't been, or they haven't been respecting. And I think that will preserve the wall better if we keep a short area next to the wall. So unless anybody has any objection to it, I don't think it needs a DPC decision, because it doesn't actually change anything. But we do need to talk to Adrian, who looks after the church, or for the church's conservation trust. And we obviously, Joanne needs to investigate where there might be any burials underneath any areas. So we wouldn't be doing anything straight away. But if anybody would like to discuss it further, we can have it on the agenda for next month.
Yeah, let's push it on the agenda for next month and see if there's any discussion. And I presume we need to tell the contractors as well that they need to, the different areas they're going to need to mow, are we?
Oh yes, we would. I would mark out a different area with pegs, and then they can just keep mowing where the nettles currently are.
Okay, lovely, thank you. Mike, did you have a meeting with Councillor McDonald on the rights of way meeting?
Need to unmute myself, sorry. Yes, we did have a meeting, and I've been given access to an interactive map that they have, which allows me to mark up any areas that I think need attention. One thing that came out of it is that there isn't vast amounts of money to pay to the council, to the farmers, for looking after the footpaths, which is sort of the idea that I had in mind. And they take a different view, and yeah, their view is that they have a responsibility to keep these footpaths, and why should we incent them otherwise? So that seems to be where we are with it. One of the things we agreed as a further action was to talk to some of the councils in the other village and get a person nominated from each of those councils so that we can get together to look after the footpaths as a whole. Okay. Which sounds like a good idea to me.
Yeah, well, maybe we can sort of set up a sort of rights of footpath, sort of, if you can be sort of in charge of that, and then give us a report each month as to what's progressing and what, if anything, needs to be done.
Yes, unless anyone's got any objections to that, I think that would be a good way forward.
No, we're happy with that, are we?
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
Good
seems like a good idea.
Okay.
Like a footpaths working group.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or our representative, like an allotment officer. You know, he's a footpaths officer, and you know, he can report to us as to. And if anybody else wants to join him on it, then by all means, they're quite welcome to.
Well, I think that the idea of liaising with the other councils is that
Yeah.
sometimes our footpaths run into their footpaths, and you know,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Good idea. I will leave that in your capable hands, sir.
Thank you.
Allotments report. Yeah, that we talked about that. I haven't held the meeting yet. I am going to send out invitations later on this week to have a meeting and discuss the allotments. Brewery field spending. We haven't bought the water containers yet, have we?
No, I haven't.
No.
Haven't had time, but I will do.
Yeah. We don't need to investigate that. Car park bollards. I bought the bollards. They're in my back garden.
Why are they in your back garden? Why didn't you have them delivered to the rec?
Yes, okay. Because he turned up outside my house and I didn't realise how big they were.
They look incredibly heavy.
They are. They're a quarter of a ton. They came on a pallet. By the time I realised, because he knocked on my door and disappeared, and then he'd had the pallet down on the road and by my back door before I could say anything. But I can move one at a time. So when we get down to having to put them up, then I'll need help. But yes,
Well,
we've
we
got
have,
bollards
we
anyway.
have the trolley, Roy. We've got the
Yes.
orange trolley in the
Yeah.
garage. We'd probably
Yeah.
have to only put one at a time on
Yeah,
there.
and just put it round. Yeah. And when it gets warmer, then they've got to go down a fair way and get cemented in. So once it gets a bit warmer, we shall sort them out. But they need to go down, about a third of them need to go into the ground anyway.
All right.
So they're not too high. So we will sort that out. Teenage monies. I'm going at nothing else about a legal camera. I think that just about covers everything.
Yep.
Okay. Give me a second. Stop sharing that. Okay. Carrying on. So are you happy for me to sign last month's meetings?
Yep.
Yep.
Thank you. Done that. Chairman's announcements. We've got a few this week. The Hingston Road repairs that were meant to happen this month, because of the weather, it didn't happen, and it's now pushed back till June. So they would advise us as well. And Green Street is going to be closed for 3 or 4 days from the 10th of May, or if they do some gas works, I think it is. Is it 10th of May? Yeah, 10th of May for 3 days, so there'll be no through road going through Green Street. They'll put plenty of signs up about that. Yeah, and the Hingston Road resurfacing is now going to be at the end of May. We had an email from somebody regarding playing football in the playground area. We haven't got any signs up about that.
It's on the
Yeah.
agenda, I think.
Is it on the agenda, is it? On the
Yeah.
agenda?
Yes.
Okay,
Just
that's on the
yeah.
agenda. Okay.
Chairman,
Sorry, yes?
my internet stopped for a moment there, and the last thing I've got that I heard was we're going to close Green Street, but I didn't get anything after that.
Green Street's going to be closed on the 10th of May for about 3 or 4 days. And the Hingston Road resurfacing has been put back to the end of May, beginning of June.
Brilliant, thank you.
Okay. Then we've got one from a resident about several lorries and vans have been left from the Hingston Road, have been going over the curb on the Memorial Green. And
That's
he's
on the
asked if we can
agenda.
move that. That's on the agenda as well, is it? Good. That's good. I'm doing that. I had a number of emails about the footpaths through the school. Some for, some against. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit on this. When I put the report in, it was because we'd heard that they were possibly closing the the footpaths that have been there for about 30 years. And I just felt that we should make it known that we were interested in that particular footpath and what have you, and we would like to keep it open. I probably was remiss by putting down a alternative route, which is only my personal suggestion, and people have tended to take it as a fait accompli that that would be the route. What I've had from county is that they are aware of our concerns. They are going to they're in talks with the school and with the Diocese of Ely that operate it, and they are looking at different suggestions where they can not only allow good access possibly for the other path going through it, but also for the DX club and for the preschools club, and whether they're going to put a path through it or whether they will just decide no, they're going to close it. One of the reasons I also put it in was that if they do decide to close it, then we need to improve the other road services or the other routes, if you like, which people can use. And if they want to close that particular path that has been closed for sort of being there for sort of 30 years, though it might be open part-time, then if we do need to do anything else to improve your other roads, then they should pay a proportion to it, not just us. So they can't just close it and say to the parish, well, that's tough luck. If you want to improve a different route, then you need to say it. So at the moment, there's been no decisions one way or another. We did speak, Peter McDonald has spoken to them, and they said they are looking into it, and they hope to have some ideas at the end of this month, which they were going to talk with the schools with first and the diocese, and possibly come up with a plan. As soon as they have come up with a suggestion or what have you, then we'll be notified it, and then we can, when we have passed these emails on to those people concerned, then we can discuss it further and make it widely known, so that we're not trying to push anything through from our point of view. We'll let all the village know what their plans are, and then any objections and everything can be put against there. You know, so I think we just need to hold back at the moment, see what they come up with, and then any objections to what they come up with or agreement, we can then pursue from that point onwards. That will probably be at the next meeting or as soon as we get to hear about it. So is everybody happy with that?
Roy, would you mind putting something in those words on next door? It's just that I've been the one that's been dealing with various parishioners that are very concerned about this, and I don't think the message is out there that it's not a fait accompli. So I think like
The only real
box is one way and next door's another. I think more routes we can get to communicate with people would be the better.
Yeah, I mean my only real concern is the only thing we can really put on next door is that we've become aware that the school are going to want to permanently close that route, and if anybody wants any objections to it or wants to discuss it, then by all means, yes. But you know, there's nothing coming on to say that we want to put another route in X, Y, or Z or anywhere. You know, the only thing that we know for fact is that they, and which came to us not from them themselves, but from hearsay and what have you, is that they want to close that route through the school. So that's the only thing we can put on to the next door.
Well, that's fine. Just put that on and say, but you know, nothing's been decided. I think
Okay,
that's what parishioners need to be clear about. It's like nothing's been decided.
Gilligan.
Yes, I think that's important because clearly some people do think that we have made a parish council decision on what we think should happen. And whether that's right or wrong, that seems to be the perception by some people.
Yeah.
And I think we need to knock that on the head as soon as possible. And Nextdoor does seem to be the vehicle that most people look at.
Okay.
I can put anything on the website, on the village.com website, and it gets read by so few people. But Nextdoor, a lot of people look at. I think it's important to, and also to say that it will be on a future meeting agenda to discuss and come up with a parish council recommendation, if you like.
Okay. Joanne?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. We've said a couple of times now that the school want to close the footpath, but we have to be careful there because the school haven't got an opinion on the matter. It's all county council and above parish.
Well, okay, so county want to close the footpath. Well, we did a few months ago ask to be included in these discussions, and we weren't asked. So we've only found out, if you like, through the grapevine that they want to close it. And you know, it's been around for 30 years, you know, without any problems, and it has helped, even if it's very part-time. It has helped. So, you know, but yes. So what we will do, we will put something on next door to say that, you know, the county we have heard the county proposed to close that route. They are looking at various different ways to put it, and we will advise the village as soon as we have any opinions from them, and it will be on our meeting and we'll let everybody know. We're all happy with that?
Thank you. Yeah,
okay. Going on from there, the green. Resident has asked that, that's not on the agenda, is it, Joanne, about the green?
No, I don't think it is.
Okay. One of the residents has asked that we don't cut a certain area of the green because they have some wildflowers blowing there, and they ask that we advise the contractors not to mow under that part of it. I think what we have to do, though, and if I'd ask you to do this, Joanne, is just to speak to some of the other residents of the green to get their opinion that they're happy that the green in that particular area is mowed, so we don't have any arguments that why is that part of the green not going to be mowed. So if you can just write to them, and I'm sure if they're all happy, then we will advise the contractors not to mow that particular part of the green. Gillian.
Yeah, one thing I think we do have to do, regardless, I agree with consulting everybody around the green. It's important, but we are going to ask the contractor just to raise the cut on the mower because he's scalping the grass at the moment.
Yeah, I noticed that last time they did it, they took half the earth out as well.
Yeah.
If you could drop them a line on that as well, Joanne. Okay, well, maybe if they used a different mower on it. It's, yeah, it's Mercer's doing that, isn't it?
No, it's Buckham's now.
It's Buckham's. It's Buckham's doing it, isn't it? Yeah. Maybe we have a word with them and just show our concerns on it. Okay.
And the other thing is, if we do get a consensus to protect or to not mow some areas of the green, we need those to be clearly marked because we can't expect operatives of a contractor to make those judgments. It's got to be very clear which bits they can and can't mow.
Yeah, I think if we get agreement from the rest of the green that we might not get, but if we can get that first, and then it will be up to the people that have asked us to mark out the area which they don't want to be mowed.
Yes.
Okay. We will report back next month on that. Okay. Just one other thing that it's that time of year when we have to review all our rules and regulations and standing orders. They are all up on the website. And so if I ask all of you to have a look at them, I'm not sure whether anything much has happened in the last year to change. What do you think, Malcolm?
Nothing that pops to mind. I mean, I'll go through them again. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And then what we'll need to do is to agree them next May. I will go through them as well. There's one other one that I want to include in it, which I'll send out later on. So if I could always ask you all to have a good look at it, read all the good reading, makes interesting reading. And then if you have any queries or instructions about it, and especially for our new councillors, it's a good idea just to have a look at some of our standing orders and to see what we can and can't do. Fine, that's it. Chairman's announcements over and done with. COVID report, still me, nothing much going on there. And we have given out one computer, I understand, Mike. Has that gone ahead? You're muted.
We've given two.
We've given
There
two.
were two children in the same place, so I gave two.
Excellent. Right.
Philip has asked if we can just make a contribution to they've got a website with one of these just giving things.
Right.
He's not going, he doesn't want to invoice us and go down that track because it's a charity and they're not allowed to sell things.
All right. Okay. So we will.
So, but you know, we can talk about that offline.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we've approved a certain amount of money towards it, so we can pass some of that into the website. Pete, did you want to say something?
No.
No. Oh, sorry.
No, just saying it's great.
Yes. Yes.
That we have 2 computers. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, because the school, I understand, is starting to take computers back from people now that they're back.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting through it like a hellfire, right? Fine. Next thing, planning. Ed, over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. If I try and share my screen. Yes, with number 1 Green Acres, want to put a porch on the front. So it's the pinkish house to the left there. So there's going to be if this works, a porch on the front in that rectangle is the idea. So if I come across to this, number 1 Green Acres there, about the second house on the left as you go into Green Acres. Just show you that bit, gives a bit more context. So that's the sort of plan view of it, and then that's the porch going on the front. Looks like the small extension to one of the rooms into that area as well. Good. So yes, sort of that's the concept of the shape. Yes, that's the yes. So I've certainly not heard anything from number 2, who are the most likely to make any comments about this. It's yes, relatively modest, doesn't really affect the outlook. There's already windows facing the direction windows are facing, so they won't be putting new windows overlooking number 2 or anything like that. They're not changing use of garages or anything, so I've no reason to object. Would recommend for approval.
Okay. Anybody objections at all? Any questions?
No.
No. Unanimous. Okay. Lovely. Thank you. That's passed.
Okay, that's it. So that was the only planning application that came in. No decisions have been received back at all. There was a small item I was going to bring up in correspondence, but between literally a couple of days ago, so we couldn't put it on the agenda. A small amendment or an amendment came into the hotel planning application at the IWM. And for us to properly consider that, we'd need to leave it, or we'd need to get them to give an extension from the 15th of April all the way out to whenever our next meeting is, which is some fair way into May, which is a good 4 weeks. The change is purely to do with some of the supporting documentation to go with the application. They've resubmitted one of the reports that goes with it. They're not changing anything about the design or anything like that. So even if we asked for an extension, there's a slight risk they wouldn't give it to us. And I don't think we've got anything meaningful to discuss about it anyway. So I was, unless anybody particularly wants me to try and bring it to the next meeting, I'm sure it's a riveting document. I was just going to leave that one to pass.
Okay, we're all happy with that, I think. Yeah.
Everybody's happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Lovely.
That's
Great. Thanks very much.
That's me. All right.
Good. Okay. Next, we got our finances. They're all pretty basic this month, I think. Cambridge Water for the cemetery and the allotments. They're all standard payments. The Fresh Air Fitness, we made our first payment to for that, 50% required. Joanne's got her fireproof safe now, so she can safely keep the documents. We had some issues with the Clark laptops where she lost her email, so we agreed to pay some money to get that, and also to do a backup so she doesn't lose it again. We had the annual Zoom fees so that we can have our meetings for more than an hour. Quarterly payment for Joanne's wages. There was nothing there for the pension, Joanne. Was there nothing in the for the pension?
Because this was early to get the financial year.
All right.
It's usually, and this is why most of them are retrospective. It's so the financial year.
All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we're all happy that we pay all these. Most of them have been paid anyway.
Yeah.
Any questions or anything? No, you're fine. Okay, I'll sign that as well then. Super duper. District and county matters. We know Peter at the moment, haven't heard from him, but we are tending to be rushing ahead a little bit today, which is very good. So road safety, over to you, Malcolm.
All right, well, the main topic on that is the proposed 20-mile-an-hour limit down Moorfield Road and Chapel Street. I sent you all, if you've seen it, the stretch of road that I think is involved.
Did you want to see me?
Deciding.
Did you want me to bring it up? I can bring it up on the screen. Just hold on a second. That one there. Just open it up. Just bear with me a second. My computer's always slow when it's recording this. Come into that. Close that, close that. Share screen. And that's what we want to share. Okay, so this is the road.
The red arrow is totally irrelevant. That just happened to be on the map that I was able to grab off the internet. So
Right.
forget that. So it's deciding where we want to start it from. My best guess would be up where the Old Firs nursery is indicated there.
Yeah, probably where the houses start.
Yeah, just up there.
Right.
That gives a relatively clear stretch for it to be seen before you get to it.
Right.
And then there is the URC problem there, so I think we need to continue it on.
Probably to the church.
Yeah. My
I think
feeling
we
is
should go beyond. I
To
think
the
we
old
should
village.
go beyond the church. Actually, there's when you turn, people turning right onto Hinkston Road.
Yeah.
Are faced with a blind bend. I was doing that the other day, and somebody came around at a fair whack. And if I hadn't have stopped and paused, I think there might have been some problem. I think we should extend it so that it covers the church and beyond.
What, up St. Peter Street, you mean?
Um,
one of the things we have to be careful.
I'm talking about the bottom of Hinkston Road. You know where the church is?
Yeah.
Where's the church on this one?
Just where this roundabout is, where the
It's
St. Peter Street
PW, Mike. It's place of worship.
place of worship.
Oh, is that what it means? Okay, so that's place of worship. So where's Hinkston Road?
That carries on,
Yeah.
straight on. The St. Peter Street goes round to the right.
Okay.
And Hinkston
Yeah,
Road
that's
goes
the
straight
bend that
on
I'm
across.
talking about.
Yeah. That's right, it's all
Between
more.
Chapel Street and St. Peter's Street. It's a roundabout where that roundabout is. So I think we should go up St. Peter's Street.
I must admit, if I had the choice, I would take it as far as the junction with Hunts Road. I would take it the three sides of the square.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. There's
Yeah, me
lots
too.
lots of cars parked along there as well. So
Having done the village speed watch, I do know some of the speeds that people drive around the village, and I would also go up to the junction with Hunts Road.
yes,
So that would
Especially
take
past the club a bit.
And then you should go down Hunts Road with it as well. Really,
that they won't. Hunts Road, unfortunately, does not qualify for a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
We have to justify why we want it on the roads that we indicate. And we have to have, if you like, agreement by all the people who will be affected by it, those that live on that road, designated road.
I'm sure they'd
My
be delighted,
suspicion-
wouldn't
Yeah, I mean,
My suspicion
I
would-
can't see why anybody wouldn't agree to a 20. I mean, it's actually,
No,
I
I'm just saying we
drive
have to.
drive around at 20 miles an hour down there anyway, but
I'd take it all the way
There's a
up
lot
to John Street and everything.
Oh.
Yeah,
there's a lot of parked cars, there's a lot of people crossing roads,
a lot of kids.
which is probably not the case on Hunts Road. So I can sort of see that maybe they wouldn't wash a 20 mile an hour on the Hunts Road bit, but certainly within the village square, those three sides, I think it can be justified.
Okay. Well, we can try that. It's
Yeah.
I mean, they call them 20-mile-an-hour zones, so everything within that zone, you know, at the moment, you know, the signs just have to go up at the beginning of the zone.
Yeah, I mean,
Mr.
St.
Martin,
John's
right.
Street, St. John's Street and Green Street, I think are 20 already.
They are late
Yeah,
ways
yes.
And,
Yeah, I
and
think they are.
Yeah.
And Greenacres.
and Greenacres, yeah.
Well, that's just evening it up then, isn't it? That makes sense to do
Yeah.
20 all over.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
20-mile-an-hour zone
it's,
starts.
it's
at the
bizarre that the road that has people speeding the most is the one we can't put it on.
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
I'm
But
just
the-
telling
the-
you from my
Well,
own
we know
experience
that.
of doing the
We
village
know
speed
that
watch.
because we've had many, you know, people complaining about it, and we have spoken to highways, but they say no. 30 mile is relative for that particular road. We've done some speed watch. The police have occasionally put a speed trap in there, and we're also looking at possibly putting one of those 30-mile-an-hour. With the new budget that we've got, we may have enough money to be able to get one of those 30-mile flashing lights. But you know, we think this is the most important thing, that we need to cost this one first to see what it's going to cost us and put our priorities on that. So I suppose Malcolm, it's going up to Hunts Road.
Yep, well, we'll try that. Joanne has kindly offered to sit with me and do the finer detail on this. So if we're all agreed where we think that should be, then then we can stick that on the map that we have to submit.
And
We'll take it.
So, if we're going to go round past the War Memorial, how far up the Hingston Road do we want to go? It's the expert question.
the Hingston, sorry.
Just past the entrance to Rectory Road, maybe?
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
houses stop. It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah, then we'd end up. So would we make Rectory Road 20 as well then?
Yeah,
Oh, I see what you mean.
yeah.
Good.
Maybe, Roy, can you put a Google map up that shows the whole square? I can do it otherwise.
No, it's all right.
You could go the village side of Parsonage Road if you didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about costs here as well. The bigger the area we're going to use, then the more people we've got to
Yeah.
we've got to do it. So I think we have to be a little bit careful as to how
The
far.
more
we can
20
get.
signs we have to buy.
Yes,
Hmm.
even though it puts it into a zone, then we still have to put road markings down and what have you. So let me just bring the map up.
And can I just, can you just confirm that this would be 20 mile an hour limit, not like Ickleton advisory?
No, it's called a 20-mile-an-hour zone.
It would be like Ickleton.
So it's not
It'd be a static.
enforceable.
You know, everything within that is a 20-mile-an-hour zone. Sorry,
So Julian, as far as I know, talking to the Speedwatch guys in Ickleton, the police issue letters if you're doing more than 20 through Ickleton. The Speedwatch guys, they actually do issue letters. So as far as I'm aware, it's a 20-mile-an-hour limit.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
But you can't get a speeding ticket.
You can do,
you
yes,
have to-
their cameras now, you can get speeding tickets for,
Oh,
20
but
mile an hour.
I must be mistaken then, because I understood it wasn't enforced, as in if you had, you know, like you have the signs with the red ring round them that are really prohibited. They haven't got that. They've just got it painted on the roads, I understood.
Yeah, no, now they do have the technology to be able to actually, if you're doing sort of 25 or 28, to give you a speeding ticket. So this is the area we're talking about, aren't we?
If you zoom out one click,
Come there.
yeah.
So you're talking about sort of Rectory Road, Hunts Road, or Ackleton Road.
I'd
that.
just go past the plough to the junction,
Yeah,
and at the other end, maybe past past the entrance to Parsonage Close. So you cover the entrance to the Big Inn and Parsonage Close,
right.
Yeah.
and then you stop it.
Yeah,
Otherwise, we're going to make the whole village 20
Yes.
instead of 30.
yeah. And as I say, it comes down to cost as well. And so we'd have to see how much, whether highways would agree to it, because they have to agree that it is that.
So I don't think the problem with Hunts Road, so if you're not doing Hunts Road, the problem with Hunts Road is they come off of Ickleton Road at some speed.
Yeah,
In fact, that junction is seen as a nice chicane if you've got a nice car. If you take the 20-mile-an-hour zone on St. Peter's up, even a little way up Ickleton Road, so you've got a 20-mile-an-hour sign.
we won't be able to do it. Ickleton Road, Hunts
Right,
Road, is the B road. We won't be allowed to do it. There's not enough.
Okay.
There's not enough houses and things around there to be able to put it in. So that particular road, we've spoken to them before about that, and it is a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit, and it's very unlikely that they would agree to turn it into a 20-mile-an-hour one.
I think we should really, really, really try this year to put the flashing sign in. I know it doesn't deter people that are really going to speed, but on the other hand, a 30-mile-an-hour limit doesn't deter people that are going to speed. So why would a 20-mile-an-hour limit do it?
Okay, well, let's see what the costing is of this.
Yeah.
And see what we've got to do. I mean, we've been £3,000 each. Sorry, yes, Malcolm.
A simple scheme will cost about 3,000 to 4,000.
Which what we've got in the coffers at the moment. Well, we will have.
Well, I mean, if we get the council to chip in 90%, then we'll be all right.
Yeah.
But you could be, with the area we're now talking about, we're probably in the 6,000 to 8,000 for the scheme.
Well,
let's cost it and see what it is.
Let's cost it.
Yeah. The speeding signs, when we spoke to, we went down to visit them, they recommend that we did it privately because it would cost more to do it through them.
No, I think we're talking about two different things here. Malcolm's talking about the 20 zone.
Yeah. Oh yes.
And you're talking about the flashy sign.
Sorry, he was yeah.
why do we have to pay for a zone? Who do we have to pay for that?
We pay 10%.
It's called a local highways improvement, Mike, and you apply for what you want, and they insist you pay at least 10%, and they actually ask councils, parishes to offer more than that 10%. The previous applications we've made, we haven't offered more than 10%, and we've still got the agreement to do what we wanted. but that's just the process. We have to pay 10% of what it costs.
Yeah, but why does it cost anything? I mean, it's there are streets, aren't they?
Well, the signs have to go up. They have to pay to have the signs. put
Well, I
up,
understand the signs cost.
and
you know,
the 20-mile-an-hour speed limit signs and everything, and on the roads and things like that.
but-
And there's
okay.
over £1,000 to pay for the license to do so.
Yeah.
Somebody's making money somewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, somebody's making money somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, it's
About 1,300.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
still
that-
think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll run with it at the moment. Let's get some costing on it. See if what they'll entertain. And like with all these LH projects, what happens is if they agree to accept it, they then goes to a board and they will choose which ones they're going to support. So just because they accept our application, then it goes to a board and they won't choose they won't agree to every application. They will say, yes, we'll do this one, we'll do this one, we'll do that one. No, you've been unsuccessful. And then it's up to us if we want to do it to pay for the whole issue of it.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Where are we? Road safety. Okay. Thank you, Malcolm, for doing the work on the soapbox
Roy,
derby again.
Roy, Nick wants to speak.
Sorry, Nick. Yes.
Sorry, Roy.
That's all right.
Wait, Joanne. Sorry to hark back to this. Can we just correct, for the sake of the minutes, the statement about the pathway past the school being in use for 30 years? Because I've got a parishioner that's got evidence that's not actually true, so I don't think that needs to be out there.
Oh, okay. We won't put it in there.
Okay. Cheers.
You know, I haven't received any evidence that it isn't. But,
Okay.
you know, that's fine. I think it's been more than 20 years, isn't it?
Well, I'm just saying what the parishioner said. 'cause I
Okay,
don't
well,
know.
that's fine. I mean, this is all something that can come up as and when, but yes, we
Yeah.
won't put that in there. That's fine.
So, thank you.
That's all right. Sorry, back to Malcolm. Yeah, thank you, Malcolm,
yeah.
for your hard work on doing that again for us.
Yeah, we've got the soapbox derby, so that's fine. Hope everyone's in agreement that we should be allowed to.
Oh,
Yeah, and
yeah.
the Sunday road closures, we're all happy with those closures, yeah? I know it's very disruptive having those people pushing those bikes around, those
Yeah,
carts around the place. You know,
I think they'd have something better to do, wouldn't you?
well, that's it. And I think huntsmen should be penalised. You know,
Feel the
the-
toes
Should be made to pay for the 20-mile limit.
Yes, that's a good idea.
well, that's something. If we get a 20-mile limit, will they be restricted doing 20 miles an hour down the main roads? This is something we have to take into account. Otherwise, we could issue them with a speeding fine.
Yeah. We've also applied for the road closure for the Remembrance Day service in November.
And hopefully, with all these things, we'll be able to go ahead. I don't know whether we're going to have any
Okay.
social distancing or anything on it. I don't quite know. But we will see, and hopefully, everything will slowly come back to some semblance of normal. Certainly not this year. I don't expect to be going back to work till next year at the earliest, with anything decent. But that's the way it goes. Anything else on road safety, Malcolm? Oh, sorry, Joanne.
Can I just say the road safety paperwork is an absolute nightmare, and Malcolm does the lot. So huge thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Malcolm.
Yeah, so you can't leave anytime soon. Allotment reports, nothing with allotment rent increase. What was that about, Joanne? Did we have to discuss it this week?
Yeah, because the allotments, if we do increase the rent for the 1st of October, in theory, we should communicate it by the 1st of April. So we're a few days late. But given that we haven't increased any rents in the village for the rec clubs or anything because of the last years gone by, I think it's just a technicality to say that we won't be raising it.
Yeah,
I
I don't think we need to this year to show willing for everybody's having a tough time. So
Any objections to keeping it the way it is? No? Lovely.
that'll keep them keep the Scouts hut happy as well. Okay. So I will be sending out to hold a Zoom meeting with the residents of the allotments in the near future, and look forward to that, to discuss what we can do to improve things there in the Millennium Garden and what have you. Operations report. Have you got that, Gillian?
I have. Shall I share my screen?
Yeah. Oh, Peter McDonald's here. Oh, we do.
Oh, do you want to do Peter first?
Shall we do Peter first? We can do.
Yeah.
Where's he gone? He was around somewhere. There he is.
There he is.
Good evening, Peter. That is quick timing, sir.
Why?
We're way ahead of ourselves today. We're way
Oh,
ahead
right.
of ourselves.
Well done, well done.
So, if you like, we can go straight into you.
Are you sure? Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. We just stopped one thing, so we can go straight into you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. So the first item for South Cambs is the COVID recovery grants for local communities. So you may remember last year that changes were made to the community chest so that parish councils themselves could not apply. And that was to try and spread the money as widely as possible. There is a short-term change to this scheme with a fund of £30,000, which means you can apply for grants of up to £2,000 for a COVID recovery related project. Now, the criteria are going to be fairly wide. So I urge you to put your thinking caps on if you haven't already. And then you can apply up to the 10th of May. Okay. You apply through the normal community chest process in the way that you've done before, and the link is there. And then and the criteria are more or less the same, but the fund is 2,000, and then applications from parishes will be welcomed. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Just an update on the business grants for lockdown 3. So now, up until the end of whenever it was last week, we'd paid 11 million to 4,600 businesses. As I mentioned in last month's call, we've paid in this discretionary hardship area 3.8 million out of our 4.5 million. So there's 700,000 remaining between now and the end of June. So, and we're still paying 50 to 60 businesses a week. So if you know any Duxford businesses haven't applied, do apply. The next big slug of money, God knows when all of this is going to be paid for by you and I as taxpayers, but anyway. So the restart grant. So all those businesses, whether you're a pub, a hairdresser, a restaurant, according to the rateable value, you will be able to claim from this 5.8 million, and this will go live around the 18th of April. Okay, it's purely based on rateable value. So each business will get an email from South Cambs saying your rateable value is X. We believe you're entitled to this much money. Please click on this link and fill in your bank details. That's what we did before. So we're working at the moment to get the software set up to make sure that when this goes live, somebody can apply, put in the bank details and be paid the following day. That's the plan. All right.
That's excellent.
The 5-year housing land supply, it will be dear to the heart of Ed, but the rest of you as well. So we've confirmed that our housing land supply calculation is 6.1. So that is really good news, because that means that, you know, a development that comes forward now, an application that is made, if we refuse it and it goes to appeal, we have a very strong defense with the planning inspector. Because as you know, that's the first question that the planning inspector will ask. Let me show me your 5-year housing land supply calculation. And that 6.1 year actually doesn't include much of the Genome Campus development, only a small part of it. So in other words, when this is done again in 12 months' time, it probably will I mean, I don't know exactly, but it will probably be again around 6 years. So that's good news.
Good.
That will help overall. And the details are in the link there. Next one is just an update really on council houses and rehoming. So during COVID, despite the fact that we were working remotely off laptops and phones, we still rehoused 460 families in the year up until 1st of March this year. And that includes 185 who were homeless or risk of being homeless. So, you know, the work still, I mean, I think you all know that, and you know that from a parish point of view, but the work goes on, and that's out of this stock of 5,500 council homes. All right. So just to keep you up to date. County report. Vaccinations, I didn't see it, but I heard there was a big queue at Granta today for second vaccinations. As you've probably read, the Moderna vaccinations are starting to come through now because the AstraZeneca is slightly tailing off. The link is in there with the latest stats on the first and the second vaccinations, but my understanding is that quite a lot in the area are going to be done by the end of April of the second jabs. Foxton Travel Hub, I won't spend time on unless you want to. East West Rail, Ed, is Ed on the call? I owe him an answer.
I am, yes.
Ed, sorry, I owe you an answer. I thought I'd replied and I hadn't on.
That's all right.
On trains. So for those of you who've read this, so the route, if you can see that on my screen, there's this big dog leg that comes from Cambridge North, which will be the new station, right? And then it will do a big dog leg south through Hawkston and Haslingfield, join the Foxton Shepworth junction line up here, up to Shelford, and then Cambridge South Station. So that is the plan. Now, obviously, the southern villages around Hawkston.
Sorry, Mel, just to correct you, Peter, sorry. That's Camborne. You said Cambridge North. That's Camborne.
Oh, sorry, Camborne North. Camborne. Yeah, thank you. Camborne North, and so those are the two new stations. This one that's very much, you know, in the advanced planning, and now this one that's got to be planned. Yeah. So obviously the southern, quite rightly, the southern villages are saying, look, we would like an assessment. We the villagers would like the northern route to be reassessed. I've no idea whether that will happen or not. This is the government stroke East West Rail preferred route at the moment. Obviously the northern route, which would go across here into Cambridge North, was I actually thought that's what would happen, because once I heard that the Camborne North was going to happen, and obviously Cambridge North is there already, I thought it would come across here. But the experts are saying that it makes more sense to come this way.
Interesting. We will watch it with interest.
Watch it with interest, as they say. Yeah. Okay.
By the way, Pete, the gentleman who just spoke to you, Nick Denton, he's one of our new councillors. He's joined us today as a councillor.
All right. Okay. Welcome, Nick. I look forward to working with you. Well, something that's closer to home for you is the A505. So these were some numbers that I got from GCP, which is, I mean, obviously they're historic. So they're November 19 and November 20. I think it was Malcolm that asked me, Malcolm, I've asked them for numbers on Hunts Road, as well as this is just the A505 flow. So a couple of things about these numbers. First of all, that obviously, well, if you take this one, which is at Duxford, so that peak number has fallen from 27,000 to 19,000. Now, of course, that was November and we're now April. So that number will have risen back up 20,000 plus. I'd be interested in your comments, but what I'm seeing at the moment is, at least, is some change in the peak traffic flow. So if you look at the the morning peak, 2,700 went to 2,000, and the afternoon peak went from 2,600 to 1,900. Now, if you observed anything like me, then that meant a much more manageable flow on the 505. The $64,000 question then is what that will return to post-COVID.
Yeah.
And short answer is nobody knows. We have asked as part of the 505 study that the southbound exit at the junction 9 must be evaluated fully before they make a decision, because we feel as members, as councillors, that would make the biggest single difference to the traffic flow on the 505.
Yeah, yeah. At the moment, there's no queues at all on the 505 at any time.
No.
But that, I'm sure that will change when the shops start opening again next week.
Exactly.
Then
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll go back again.
So I will get updates of these. So I've asked them for new snapshots for March to March. So from March 20 to March 21, and then try and get regular updates for you, because it's obviously on your doorstep.
Thank you.
This is on childcare. I won't go into detail unless you want me to. And then the last thing is, so Thacum, this is the proposed 25,000 home development. There is still no submission to the district council for the local plan. We had a public call the other night, and then I've sent the slides to Jo. If she could circulate to you all, that would be good. And we'll keep you posted. So far, no submission.
Okay.
Lovely. That's great. Anybody got any questions for Peter?
Yeah, Peter, back on the 505, I mean, given that nobody knows what's going to happen post-COVID, does that mean that all its plans are kind of go back a year then until we got data that is more solid? It's
a good question, Peter. I think they will make some projections based on. So one of the considerations is, for example, that commuting. So if we take Whittlesford Parkway, GCP is saying at the moment that they think that 5-day commuting from Whittlesford Parkway in the short term is dead. So there may be a 3-day commute, but not a 5-day commute. So that's one factor. They have said to me that they will make projections based on the March 20 and the March 21 numbers, but I haven't seen those projections so far.
But I can't see spending many millions of pounds, let's say, on the junction 9 on current data. I mean, we're all guessing, aren't we? I mean, because clearly if the post-COVID traffic isn't that different to current, then that probably dramatically changes the need for anything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I can't see how rationally we can do anything but wait, frustrating as that might be.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, I'm just playing devil's advocate. So if you take the Genome Campus, then that will automatically, because of course in the plan for that, you're going from 3,000 to 6,000 employees.
Yeah.
And at the moment at the Genome Campus, and that's just one location, you have about 15% of the workforce working there. So let's assume that 15% goes to at least 50 or 60%, then that will already put a significant load back on the 505.
Yeah.
So it's not an easy thing to try and calculate.
I'll just point out, sorry,
go on, Mike.
I just point out that during the first lockdown, you could have had a picnic on it.
Oh yeah.
Because there was nothing moving there at all. And that's obviously going to impact on those figures.
But I mean, we all realise that COVID is affecting, and I'm sure they'll say with the shops opening next week and what have you, and things opening up, then I'm sure we'll start to see queues again on the 505. And once things get back to normal, then the grid. At the moment, I could go and do a pickup in for the Genome Campus in the morning, and I leave at 8:15, and I'm at the top of Hills Road at just after 8:30, taking me 15 minutes. Whereas before it used to take me 45 minutes. Because there are no queues, so they're all going to come back, I think, to some extent. Yes, Malcolm.
Just one thing, Peter. We're looking at applying for a 20-mile-an-hour limit down Moorfield Road, Chapel Street and up St Peter's Street. And part of the application is to have the backing of the district councillor and the county councillor. So
Yeah.
would you be in favour of that?
Yeah, very happy to support that. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
And what
you'll be here to support it.
well, that's up to the good folk of Whittlesford after May the 6th.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely happy to support it. What I would also recommend, Malcolm, is we compare notes with the likes of Falmere, who put in a 20 mile an hour, quite an extensive and expensive. No, not especially expensive. Babram have just had a success applying for their 20 mile an hour. So we should probably jump on a Zoom call with those two parishes when you're ready to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank
you. Anything else for Peter?
No, it's great. Thank you.
So from next month, we have to hold our meetings in person. Are they likely to extend it at all, do you think?
Well, at the moment, we're sending one letter a week saying, can we have it extended, please, for all kinds of reasons. We're looking at holding a full council meeting at the Imperial War Museum because in terms of accessibility and space and ventilation, that's a pretty good option. Yeah. Obviously, we would like to, from our point of view, balancing health and public participation, then the Zoom option is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we still have some people, of course, that haven't received a vaccine or anything yet. I mean, if necessary, we could just have 4 people at a meeting, so we have a quorum, and possibly get other people looking in on via Zoom, so we have a public meeting, but we also have people coming in on the Zoom, which would be ideal as well. I just wondered if you heard anything on it. So.
No, I mean, we at the moment, Roy, we have to look at all options because the government is not being forthcoming. They will consider it again this week. We are looking at hybrid options. We don't really want to use the chamber at South Cambs because there's no ventilation.
Yeah.
Hence why we're thinking about the Imperial War Museum.
Yeah. Okay. And of course, they're doing a survey on it as well, aren't they? It started on the 25th of March.
Yeah.
Just to get people's opinion on it. Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you very much, sir. We hope to see you next month. And,
yes.
Take it all from there. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. Good to see you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye all. Bye, Gillian.
Okay. Operations report.
Okay.
Okay.
I will share screen. Share. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let's make it a bit bigger. The agenda items first, playground, no balls signage. We had a near miss between a child and a football, I think, on the playground, and people have said that teenagers were playing a lot of football in there. There's no reason for them to use the playground, so we'll put some signs up saying no ball games on the playground.
Okay.
We
Have
agree
we
that.
already got signs there about dogs?
Yes.
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 Because somebody in Hinkston was on about dog muck on their playground, I think.
No, we have no dogs within the children's playground.
Okay. Yeah.
The only time they get in is if somebody leaves the gate open, but
Right.
that's why we're fenced in.
Okay. Well, are we all happy to put signs up for that? Anybody objecting to it?
Yeah,
Fine.
we need to buy them.
Right.
Okay.
Do you want a bit of budget then? Or have you got budget?
We can budget it. We have a playground budget, so
Okay.
they're not going to cost much. So,
Okay, the recreation ground, 66B, DUFC request to add a lawnmower container. They've applied for a grant to buy a lawnmower and a container to store it in. we don't have any dimensions yet, but they expect it would fit behind the refurbished pavilion, between that and the hedge. We have said that we're unable to give an okay because we don't know what size it is or what it would look like or where it would be at the moment. But what they have asked is that we can say in principle that we have no objection to it, because they need us to say that in order to apply for the grant. I'm not sure, maybe Roy knows a bit more about it. Or
Yeah, they need to have our permission so they can apply for the grant for it. Also, we just found out this week that to apply for the grant, they also need to have a lease similar to the tennis court, a 10-year lease. Now, in principle, though, we have to bring it to give time for the DPC to, if we say yes, we'll do it for objections and for people. So we can't really agree to confirm it until May, but they do want to try and get the grant in. So if in principle we can say yes, we agree that they can do these things, providing we know the dimensions of the lawnmower, and it will take 28 days for us to give them approval to a 10-year lease, similar to what we've got for the tennis court. So if we can agree that in principle today, then that should give them enough so they could put in for the grant.
How big a mower is this?
Yeah,
because we're putting our mower in the old pavilion building, aren't we?
exactly. That's my thought as well. And
Yeah.
we are going to have an awful lot of things on the wreck.
Yeah.
I mean, really don't want a container if we can avoid it. I don't know why I can't just get it in the pavilion. There's plenty of room there.
Yeah.
I mean, get a lawnmower is great, and giving them 10-year lease, I have absolutely no problems with in principle. But the need for a container, an ugly container, I think has to be more persuasively argued, really.
Yeah, I think with the grant, it comes with the container, if you like. Whether they actually put it up or not, or need to put it up, it's all part and parcel of the grant.
I just think we need to be a little careful, because we don't want to give the impression that if they get a container and they want to put it in, that it's a done deal.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
I agree with Pete. We've got a lot on there, and why not put it in the pavilion?
Yeah, I agree.
Why not use our mower?
Yeah, but then they're getting a new one. So if they can get a grant on a new one, then that's fine. We can use that one as well. But they are using our mower. They're up and down with a roller on the back of it, and putting hundreds of pounds worth of petrol in it as well. And they're well pleased with it. So, but yes, I mean, if they want to get a grant for it, then we've no objections to that. But actually putting a container in, then we will advise them no, we don't really think that will be necessary.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Everybody okay with that?
Can I just double check? What are we exactly communicating here? What's the action?
That in principle they can have a 10-year lease, but we'll have to be formally agreed at the next meeting, because we have to put it out so that people can object if other parishioners or something want to object to it. So if we're giving it to the tennis court, tennis company, I don't see any reason why we can't give it to them. And in regard to the container, we are unwilling at this moment in time to give permission for them to put the container on until we have more details as to whether it can be stored in our
Pavilion.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah. So I'm getting old, you know. Remembering these.
Why don't we see what the container looks like?
Yeah, we need to know more details on it. You know, we need to know more details on it.
Yeah. So
So Joanne will pass that on to them. If you need any help with the wording, Joanne, let me know.
I think the football club, when I asked them for dimensions and size and shape, said it's only when they've got the grant that they would look at that. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation.
Yeah. I'd need to persuade them they need it. Why do we need a container on the wreck? I mean, we got a pavilion which is only about 20% used, and big wide open doors there to be accommodating. So I mean,
they should be able to swing for the grant without having to
Yeah, I don't.
Of having us to say, yes, you can have a container when we don't even know what it's about. So
I think we need to, Joanne, I think we need to make it clear in your correspondence with them that in principle, the 10-year lease will be okay. We need to make a decision at the next meeting. But the recommendation of the parish council is that no additional container be placed on the wreck. We have no objection to them storing a mower within the pavilion, but at the moment, certainly, until, and they can in future provide us more information, read dimensions and colour and whatever, but the feeling of the council at the moment without a formal decision is that we wouldn't approve a container on the wreck.
as we have adequate storage within the pavilion, which is now a storage facility for them to keep it in there.
Which you will need to make available. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I check that's okay with all councillors? I can only see 4.
So just a quick question, is the pavilion insured? Everything in it's insured?
It's insured by whoever's using it. We don't provide insurance for the pavilion. The football stuff, they insure their own stuff in it. It's up to whoever's got stuff in there to insure it. We insure the building.
So contents is down to, well, it'd be the same for the football club, whether it's a pavilion or a container, right? Okay, fair enough.
They'll be insured.
We've got buildings insurance, which the DPC pay for, and the contents is covered by whoever it belongs to.
Whoever's leasing it.
Okay, carry on, Gillian.
Okay, the Liberty Lane Petersfield Road footpath maintenance, that is a Petersfield resident has planted some wildflower seeds. There are 2 short paths between Petersfield and Liberty Lane, and this is the longer one of the 2 that goes closer to the Bowls Club.
Yeah.
And he's planted some wildflower seed along the verge, pegged it, put some signs up to ask that to say wildflower seeds are establishing, please don't disturb the border. And this particular footpath, in fact, neither of those 2 footpaths are covered officially by the DPC maintenance contracts. So I think, I'm not absolutely sure, that those 2 footpaths are Petersfield private footpaths. I don't think they're public footpaths as Liberty Lane is. And I think that's why they have never been covered by the DPC maintenance contracts. Because Petersfield Road, Malcolm, you might know this, if I'm not mistaken, is a private road, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not highway.
Well, yes and no. They have occasionally come and filled in a pothole or 2.
Oh, okay.
I think it is. I think Petersfield is an adopted road. Yeah, it was built by the developer and then adopted by the council.
Oh, okay.
So my understanding is Petersfield is a properly adopted road.
Yeah.
So maybe we do need to have those footpaths on the maintenance contract, but certainly for the time being, while this wildflower seed, it should look lovely, by the way. It's something I think we can all be in favour of. It's a wonderful idea. And it'll have to be watered because we get so little rain most of the time here, except when we get masses. Then the only thing we're going to do is, I think, Joanne, did you say you've already contacted Buckens, Joanne, and asked them to make sure all their operatives are aware that they must not put any weed killer down?
Yes, that's been done.
Okay. So we're a little worried that this lovely wildflower seed might suddenly pop up and then it'll all be sprayed by the contractor.
I think it's happened before, isn't it? Yeah.
It has, maybe not newly seeded, but yes, we have asked them not to use weed. All our maintenance contracts actually clearly state no chemical weed killer should be used without the expressly written permission of the clerk. But that doesn't make any difference to a lot of them. They still like to use it.
That feature on that path is rather nice, well, like a kind of fencing rope effect.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess that's just decorative, is it? Does that play a role in terms of the wildflowers, or is it just
Stops people walking around and dogs going into it? I think. I don't know.
I think
nice.
Yeah, it looks quite nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything residents do to improve the look of the village?
Yeah, to be encouraged.
I'm completely in favour.
Mhm.
What happens if it becomes neglected though? What do we do then?
We tell them to get rid of it.
Yes.
But we
Tell them
kill
to take it down.
Mow it.
Yeah. Or we take it down and charge them for it.
Yeah.
It's
I somehow don't think it would be neglected.
Nor do I.
No.
I don't think it will.
Not when
considering-
they go to that much to do it.
Knowing the guy who put it there.
Yeah, we all know the guy who did it.
We could put a sign there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll be thanking him when they're all out.
That'd
Actually.
be
Well, we
lovely.
will. Yeah.
Really, yeah.
Next on the agenda, War Memorial Greenstones relocation. This is a request from a neighbour of the War Memorial to move one of the large stones slightly to the middle of the site instead of on the corner, because lorries are going over the edge of the green. I have absolutely no objection, and I'm happy to give a hand if they're quite heavy. if we need to all get behind it and give it a push, but
Yeah. Happy to
Everybody
help.
agree with that?
Yeah, happy
Yeah.
to help too.
Yeah.
No disagreements? No.
No.
Okay. We'll get some heavyweights down there and get it moved.
Let me know when you do. I just live right around the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll give it a push.
Yeah, if I just interrupt for a second, going back to whether Petersfield is adopted or not. I've just looked up the Cambridgeshire County Council website, and Petersfield is an adopted road in the same way that all the other main roads are.
Okay.
thank you.
Who does the park belong to? Is that county then? Highways?
Highways.
Yeah, it's a highways thing. And Petersfield's an adopted road just in the way that St Peter's Street is and St John's Street is and so on.
So next time I revise the maintenance contracts, I'll put those footpaths into them.
Okay.
The next item is Brewery Field. We still haven't, we're still considering options for an improved accessible entrance. Our current thinking is to move the gate back from the edge of this site and adjust it so it'll open both ways. But I'm still not sure whether this will stop it closing on mobility vehicles, which is the problem. Moving it back would give an added benefit so that people exiting the field have somewhere to stand while they're waiting to cross the road, because of course there's no pavement there.
Yes.
And I think that is a good idea that we should do anyway. But if anybody knows anyone using mobility vehicles who must know what their preferred sort of gates to get through are, please ask them to contact us or send.
We'll have a word with the person who brought it up first time. I'll meet her down there and we'll do some experiments.
Yeah, I think we should try and get some of their views as well, or people
Yeah.
using wheelchairs. You know, it's
Yeah.
a wheelchair's probably slightly easier because it's easier to hold the gate while you get through, whereas mobility vehicles are longer, and that's why the gate closes on them.
Okay.
We're not planning to do anything immediately because I'd like to just gauge some more opinion first.
Okay.
We've got item F is Brewery Field retrospective agreement for donation of 3 benches. I was made an offer for picnic benches. I could have actually bought 12 for the site at a bargain price of £85 each. Put together, screwed down, and I think that really was a bargain. It was a van that was in the village who was providing to Green King pubs. I didn't want 12, but I bought 3. We put 2 on the dipping deck and 1 closer to the Elms Close entrance. And these are not, I'm not asking DPC to pay for them. One of the parishioners in the village has offered to fund the purchase of these benches.
That's right.
Because they had specifically requested a bench on the dipping deck and wanted to fund that. And with these being significantly cheaper, I had a quote for making 1 bench for the dipping deck, which would be a hexagonal bench going around the central pole, and that came in at £500. So for £255, I've got 3 picnic benches.
Okay.
Fell off the back of a lorry, did they?
Well, yes,
No.
well, unlikely, but
They didn't fall at all. They were carried.
they were carried together, and
But if-
I was very happy to purchase them on the spot.
Well, if you
But
can
can
thank
I
the
have
parishioner
your
on our behalf.
The reason I'm asking DPC, of course, is because they need to go on the asset register.
Yep.
And it needs to be listed. So can I have your agreement that I have actually installed these? I will take them down if you all feel very strongly against it, but I think they're a real asset to the site.
Any disagreements from anybody?
Not at
No.
all.
Okay. Yeah, thank the parishioner for buying them for us, please.
Yes. Lastly, on the agenda, the Biggin Gates treatment. We bought these beautiful new Biggin gates and had them installed. We decided not to have them galvanized at the time. And I must admit, I thought, oh yes, they look nice once they've gone a bit rusty. But actually, now they, oh.
They're like that, aren't they?
That's my sourdough recipe.
Turned into a loaf of bread.
There we go. This is a picture taken last September, and they've actually gone even browner and more rusty now. And I personally wish that we'd had them galvanized. One of the reasons being there's lots of little things on them like snails and butterflies and dragonflies. Don't know if you can see. And as they go rustier and rustier, those things will eventually rust through. So I've written to Mike Overall, who made them. Well, first of all, I'd like opinions whether you think we should do anything to them or should just leave them as they are. And secondly, I'm waiting for Mike. I could have phoned Mike today. He asked me to phone him back to discuss the treatment of them because I asked for his opinion. He made them. But I spent most of this afternoon on the M11 for 3 hours because there was a lorry hit a bridge and I nipped down to Dunmow to get something which I thought would take me about 45 minutes, and I spent 3 hours trying to go south and 20 minutes coming back.
Oh, jeez.
So I didn't manage to speak to Mike because I didn't have his number with me. But before I call him, I'm interested in your opinions, whether we should or should not leave them.
So
as they are.
Why can't we paint them?
We could.
If they're made of steel, you
they're
can. Sorry, go on.
I think they're steel. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they
But
are.
They need a coat of
from-
red oxide, and then you can do them with
Can
something
you
like.
not all talk at once? Can you put?
all you have to do is generalite them, and then you can paint them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, hammerite or something.
You
They use a
have,
thing called generalite. It's quite good. It's a rust protector. It basically eats rust,
yeah.
Yeah.
and then you just need an undercoat on it and then paint it.
Yeah, we could. We
Yeah.
could. But one, should we do it at all? And two, what colour?
Green.
Silver.
Royal blue.
Red.
Appropriate colours for the animals.
Okay, so I think the consensus is that we should do something to them. Can I have a vote on
Yeah.
that?
Anybody
something.
disagree? Any disagreement that we should do something? Yeah, I think we should as well. Yeah.
I
So we
can't see
agree.
everybody, so I just need to know if there's any objections.
Yeah, no objections. And it will protect them for a longer period of time. You know, so in hindsight, you know, it would be look, but you're right. So we just have to decide on what colour we're going to do it.
That could take a while.
Yeah, it could take a little while.
Okay, well, I'll talk to Mike tomorrow and I'll report back to you on email.
Do
Okay.
we not have a vote now about the colour?
Let's see what the
I'd
person,
rather not vote now about the colour. We can do that-
Another
we
month
can do
ain't
that
gonna make
at the
any
May
difference.
meeting. We can do that at the May meeting.
Yes, yes.
I'll tell you what you could do, Gillian. You could do the undercoat.
Yes, we
Yeah.
could.
So you
Yeah.
protect, so you're stopping it rusting any further.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Oh, we could use this stuff that Nick's talking about.
Yeah. Let's go see what the guy says about it as well, how to protect it.
Okay,
Okay.
Good.
An extra
Thank
month ain't gonna make any difference.
slightly not on the agenda, but things I will just mention. We're going to put up no cycling signs on the mound. Almost every time I go past Brewery Field at the moment, there's parents with young children on mountain bikes cheering their son or daughter as they go up and down and over the mound. And the wildflower seeds don't stand a chance at the moment. Unfortunately, I don't have a ramp on Brewery Field, which would be much better for them to go up and down.
I wonder why not.
And it is incredibly inviting. I actually think maybe we should try and bring in a few lorry loads of something somewhere else and create something for them for their mountain bikes, because they love it. They absolutely love it. So maybe it's an item for a discussion at another meeting. But at the moment, while Sarah has seeded the wildflowers, we're hoping to get a few showers so that they grow. And at the moment, I'm going to put up some signs.
And I noticed there was
a few bob on fitness equipment, couldn't it, Gillian? If we...
Oh yes, we could. Yeah. In actual fact, I went past there yesterday, and somebody had put some dog jumps across the green as well, and they were training their dogs to go up and down these jumps and everything.
Oh, brilliant!
It's being well used. It's being well used.
Oh, people love it. Almost every time I'm working up there, people stop and say, "This is just fantastic. Thank you so much. It's lovely. It's really lovely."
Yeah.
I will send out a maintenance contract. I've pretty much written it, but I need some agreement from Ashley and Sarah about the mowing regime before I put it out. It's going to be a very basic maintenance contract, and we need Sarah to continue to supervise volunteers and planting over the next year as well. So her costs will come out of we've got it precepted maintenance costs.
Yeah.
So that will all come out of the precept. I don't think there's anything else to add apart from thanks to the people in the village that look after the Wall Memorial flower bed and the triangle at the corner of the Green and Chapel Streets, because they both have looked so beautiful this spring. They do it entirely voluntarily. So thanks very much to them. The exercise equipment, as I understand it, will come in June with work beginning on the 7th.
Yep, that's the plan.
That's good. Good. All right. Thank you, Gillian.
From me, stop share.
Public art contribution. Who's doing that? The memorial tree.
Oh, I think that's me again. I did put on the website the paper that I added to the website after the APM that we presented at the APM. And that again was asking for ideas, basically. Mike overall is going to give me some prices for a memorial tree. This is just an idea. Obviously, it'll be brought back to council before any decisions are made. But I will send a link to his website. He's done he's the guy that did the Biggin Gates, and he's done an iron memorial tree on his gallery on the website. It's a very basic one, quite plain. But we had a request from a parishioner at the last meeting to have some kind of remembrance service or memorial to people for people that have lost people in the village, not necessarily because of COVID, but anybody that's lost loved ones. And I thought maybe we could use the remainder of the art money, which is, we've got about 4,000, slightly under, I think.
A bit more, I think. Yeah, I think we spent 4/6 of 10, so we got to maybe just over £5 grand.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know there is one parishioner that has a proposal almost ready to go on the table. So maybe some of that would go to that if we decided to use his suggestion. But once I get Mike's idea, I thought you could have, instead of people tying ribbons and putting paper messages on these things, you could actually have tags, like almost like a dog tag, if you like, where you had a name or a message pressed into the metal that you could hang on the branches of the tree. It's just an idea at the moment. And of course, if anybody else has got ideas that we could use, I'd be delighted to accept them. We really have to crack on with this now, otherwise we're going to lose that 5K.
Which would be shocking, wouldn't it? Yeah.
It would be a real shame.
It would.
If worst comes to worst, you can always put a statue of me up there.
These can't be that bad. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Community centre report, anything to report from the community centre?
No, not really. I mean, it's very quiet. I mean, we're just those people that are allowed to are using it. So there's counselling going on, and obviously the post office and a couple of kiddies things start this coming week. So the tumble tots and karate for kids is allowable from this coming week. But apart from that, you know, Cafe 19 opens hopefully on May the 17th or 19th, isn't it?
Aren't they interested in opening as a takeaway, Peter?
He's not. He's done an evaluation and decided he can't do much about it. It's just not viable in that sense. Yeah.
It's too weather dependent, unfortunately.
Yeah, and there's no outdoor cover in that sense. So you're kind of opening. He has looked at it. I think Greystones has probably done a right out of it. I quite often see people sitting in a memorial who've kind of bought a kind of takeaway coffee and go and sit there. But Paul would have loved to open, but he did a kind of very thorough, like a costing, and it just couldn't see a way of working. All the staff are furloughed. Paul isn't, but all the other players are in that sense. So he's focusing on, was it May the 17th or May the 19th?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you. Hedgecock hair donation request, Joanne, are we putting that forward, or are we talking about that, are we? The hedgehog.
I sent this round to everybody. A resident in the village who looks after hedgehogs has asked for a donation towards.
Let me just bring it up on the screen. We can talk about it, and then I'll go through some of the things which unfortunately we can't do. But what they have done, every year this parishioner, she has been helping the hedgehogs because they may become extinct in the next 20 years. And she's been creating hedgehog hibernation and feeding troughs and everything for them. The parishioner collected sort of lots of small hogs from around the middle of October, put them in plastic lids and looked after them and fed them. And she wants to upgrade a facility to overwinter indoors up to 8 hogs, and shepherds who do it as well. And then she's put a breakdown of the costs, which is about £160 for the 4 months and everything for the first months, and some one-off costs to set it all up. It's an excellent idea, but unfortunately, I looked at what we are allowed to spend our money on, and the 163 money that we can send, which we can, each year we can allocate £8.20 per head of the population towards charitable and helping out parishioners and people in the village, and facilities for sport and things like that. But we can't, unfortunately, spend money on these sort of charitable situations as a council. So legally, we can't support it. What we can do, though, of course, we can advertise the fact too that we support what the parishioner is doing, And we can also give her advice on how to set up a GoFundMe or something like that, so that she can ask for funds from parishioners and maybe advertise it in the chatterbox and everything. We can advertise it on our website to be able to raise the funds for her to continue the good work for our hedgehog residents. But unfortunately, as they're not on the village roll, then we can't support it as a parish council. So, Joanne, if you could please write her and advise her that, you know, legally we can't do it, but we would, you know, help her towards setting up a GoFund or something like that to be able to support her excellent what she's doing for the hedgehogs and to keep their survival. And hopefully Leslie at the chatterbox will also be able to put something on there to get residents and us ourselves, if anybody wants to support, if we raise a good funding page, then we can go on and look into it. Okay, Gillian.
Yeah, I think certainly we should thank the parishioner, because hedgehogs are, well, I mean, they're very close to my heart as well. I also rehabilitate them for shepherd. I don't overwinter them because it's incredibly time consuming and incredibly smelly, actually, especially if you have them in your house, which I did one winter. But I think it's a very, very good thing she's doing. And I think we should, if we can't fund it as requested, would we be allowed to give a donation at all?
Not as a council, not as the parish council. Well, we can make donations to charities and everything which affect the residents of the village, you know, or organisations that are doing something like we did with COVID. You know, and I suppose every year, I say it's £8.20 per parishioner, which goes into the 136 or something fund, whatever it is. But so we can do things that will benefit parishioners, or sport, or recreation within the village, or charities like we did with COVID. But anything that's sort of saving cats or dogs, or, you know, opening up a rattery or something like that, we unfortunately, that's a charity thing, and it has to be done on a charity basis. We can't put a grant towards it. I did look into it quite closely.
Okay.
But personally, we can give it. The best thing is to raise the GoFund page.
Yes.
And get people that are interested in it, and I'm sure a lot of us would put some money towards it. Okay, right. Diary and next meeting. Now, as you heard when we were speaking to Peter McDonald, from next month, then we should hold meetings in person. And we have to make sure that they would be COVID secure, and that the correct distance is kept about everywhere. Then, and because it's a workplace, then what we would probably have to do is the day before have a lateral test to ensure that we don't have COVID at all. And we can, the parish clerk can get a store of these that we can issue out to everybody. And we would have to wear masks and make sure that we're properly socially distancing. As health and safety, it's a place of work. That's a place we're going to have to work in. Hopefully within the next month, they will say that we can do both. Now, I'm happy that we hold meetings in the community centre. I would think, you know, with the president advisory, then probably the best way would be that we have at least a quorum at the meeting, so, or half a dozen people at the meeting, and others who feel that they either haven't had the COVID jab or what have you, they can still join it by Zoom. And if we have members of the public, then again, we would have to ensure that they are socially distanced, and that, you know, from a health and safety point of view, then having a flow test the day before to ensure that we're not going to pass any germs on, then I don't know, but that's something we need to discuss before the next meeting. So I'm open to suggestions. Start off with Mike.
I would suggest that if we're to have a quorum, we should choose people who've had their second jab.
Yep. Gillian?
Yes, I agree with that. I also think that certainly members of the public, I don't think we can provide lateral flow tests
No.
and things like that. So I think members of the public should still be asked to join only on Zoom until.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Any other questions or anything? I mean, we have to look at it from a health and safety point of view. So if people are going into a work environment, then you would have screens in between and what have you. And I suppose in the small hall at the community centre, which is where we have to be so that we could also hold a Zoom meeting, then we could probably get half a dozen people, you know, socially distanced within there, and which we can operate on. I don't know whether Joanne would prefer to do it via Zoom, as she hasn't had any jabs at all yet. So whether she wouldn't want to turn up, or, you know, so let's think about it over the next couple of weeks. If you've got any suggestions, and then I know Nick likes to be there in person, because she doesn't like these sort of things, and it'd be nice to see people around, you know. And I'm sure we know if we work on half a dozen people, certainly for the May one, and then we can, hopefully they are doing a survey, which you can go and look up, where they're asking people their views on having Zoom meetings and a mixture of Zoom meetings and in-person meetings. But I agree. I think residents should join us via Zoom, and we have a maximum of 6 people at the meeting itself, where we can throw insults at each other and do various things. So if we work towards that, and anybody who definitely doesn't want to come to the meeting, if they could let Gillian know, let Joanne know, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joanne.
It's also the AGM next month, so it's 7:30 for the AGM beforehand.
Right. So it's 7:30 for the annual general meeting. Is that where we all lose our jobs and you take over again? Or? Yeah,
A few hours, I'll be the parish council. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to put their name forward to be vice chair or chairperson or allotment officer, feel free to give their name to Gillian, to Joanne, and then we will do everything there at 7:30. All right. Thank you all for coming. Thanks, Nick, for your first meeting here. I will get in touch with you, and we'll have a chat about what sort of things you want to do. And don't forget the rules and our regulations are on the website. Please look at them and read them. And if you think there's any changes that need to be made, let Malcolm or myself know. Thank you all very much. And I will speak to you all soon. Take care.
Bye, everybody.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.